welcome back. Now we're going to speak about surplus. So what is surplus? Surplus can be divided into consumer surplus, so we're going to call it CS, and producer surplus, which we're going to call PS. So to know what consumer surplus is, we basically need to first get a demand curve. Okay, so get price, quantity, and our demand curve. So what we see here, imagine our equilibrium is found here at, let's say, 5, 10. And what we have here is that everything here is our surplus. So what is surplus? Surplus can be defined as the amount of quantity, the price some consumers are willing to pay minus the actual price that they pay. So for example, here we have a consumer. We have, let's say, 3. We have 3 consumers that were willing to pay 8 for this good, but they ended up paying 5 because that's the equilibrium price. So all of this here is the consumer surplus. Well, if we look at the producer surplus, it's the other way around. So we have our supply, we have our price, and our quantity. So for the price, let's say we have this equilibrium again, 5 and 10. 5 and 10. What we find is that a producer will want to sell for more than it can. However, here there are producers that for 3 are willing to sell instead of selling for 10. But they still manage to sell for 10 because the equilibrium is found at 10. Therefore, out of this here is the surplus again. Now, let's imagine that these two graphs come together. We have that here we have equilibrium, here we have demand, we have supply, and then here we have the price, equilibrium price, and quantity. Well, then all of this here would be our consumer surplus, and this would be our producer surplus. And this is in a perfectly competitive market. This is the situation we find. However, at times in an economy, you find that there are market failures. Market failures that can be caused by various options. But we're going to look at the market failure caused by taxes. So now let's imagine there's a market failure that is caused by a tax. So what we do is we draw our normal supply and demand graph. What this is our equilibrium. So this would be the price at which the item is sold. Okay? The supplier would sell it at this price. However, when a tax is introduced, especially to a supplier, the price bought is different from the price it's actually sold. So what we see here is that the price bought would be this here, and thus we find that there's a new price, which is this right here. So imagine this was 6, and now we sell it at 8. Okay. While the quantity is same, it has also reduced. So we find is that quantity before is going to be 8, and now we find it 6. So in this case, what we also see is that surplus has decreased for both consumer and producer. So as you can see here we would normally in a perfectly competitive market where equilibrium is found in this point here, point A, this is point B. All of this triangle here would represent surplus. However, here with the new price, our surplus is cut here, and this is all the surplus we have. For consumers, the same thing applies. As you see here, normally you would have all of this triangle here as surplus. However, with the tax and the new price, only this here is this consumer surplus. Then we have the tax, which is all of this. So this is the amount of revenue from the tax. And lastly, we have our deadweight loss, which is a surplus that doesn't go to anyone because it just can't be given to anyone. It simply disappears. And therefore, this is how you have more a market failure, because you have producers have less surplus, consumers have less surplus as well, and this is caused by a tax introduced by the government. So that is an introduction on surplus. If you need so this was the class on surplus. Yeah, see you next time.